Hey, how's it going? Um, so what I thought I'd do is go through some of my planning I do most mornings as I lead up to me starting this journey. So, as I said, I get up about 5:30. Generally come out here and sort of get myself semi-organised from some of the stuff I planned yesterday. And I might journal it down. And so on my journal was a bit of a break in my routine was to stream some of what I would typically do to start my day. It doesn't always go how I planned, which is why I'm doing this, to sort of see if I can see some holes. So anyway, yesterday I planned to video some of this, so I did a bit of extra preparation and planning for that. So one of the thoughts I had was I'd call this cast Thoughts of a God. And maybe with that I could do just one thing that I'm thinking about or planned for or created. So that was my logic there. And my other one is the JTG, which is Journey to Greatness. So that would be a little bit more specific. So yeah, so I plan, it's Saturday today, so my wife wants to go to the gym with me. So what I do is I go, okay, that's good. So she doesn't go till a bit later than I like to go. So I can alter myself a little bit. So I planned that I'd go for a walk instead. A walk as a lead up, just to fill in that time. And then what I'll do is when I walk, I'll have a couple of podcasts I'll play. So I generally have, that Spotify. Maybe I could show you this. Spotify. There's a couple of good podcasts that I've taken to. How to be awesome at your job. Some quite good stuff because there's a really good range. It's not too financial based and not too kind of commercialized. It's actually pretty good. And then there's so I might mix it up and play a couple of those. I'll go for a walk. So I'll walk for an hour and a half at a good pace, listening to some of that. That's quite mind-provoking. So with the walking and the running, I kind of get quite a lot of mental stimulus out of that, which sets me up really good for the day, in my opinion. So yeah, so that's going to be the first part of that set. And then as I plan the next stages is tasks and most important tasks and projects that I had lined up yesterday. So I have a few programs I use. I use Microsoft Planner, and so I have a schedule on there. So at the moment I've got sort of half a dozen projects sort of built on those, which I can touch on at certain bits. A lot of them are, the projects are kind of people-based, so I have to sort of touch base with them, structure around their timing, and just keep the projects moving along, you know. And then I have self projects, on there for myself, for learning, for what to do this week, what to do today, ideas, my health, my fitness. I have them kind of broken down into buckets, and then I can easily get on the planner on my mobile, on my phone, or whatever. So I've got the planner app. I pick the project and I can update the status of it, of the tasks, instantaneously. It's quite good. So while I'm walking and something pops in my mind, I'm pretty regimented about just throwing it in as an idea, just jotting it. There's an idea, it'll sit there, and then I know I'm going to get to it at some point. And then when I get to it, I can then expand off it. I can then categorize it, add some more detail, take it away, expand on it, whatever I thought I was going to do. So it makes it quite nice, especially with some of the projects I'm trying to develop people, or influence people, or encourage some changes, or from different levels, from a level of where I'm coming from, that can either help the business or can help the team that we're working with. Yes, so those are the apps I'll use. I use Planner, OneNote. That's how I kind of structure them, the general flow of the projects that I've got on my plate. And stuff are coming in and then going out that way. They come in, they go out. What's really good about using planners and software is that I can reflect on the history of it. So I can see, there's 40 completed tasks. There's analytics on how many tasks I did yesterday, the day before. And they give you good overviews of what quality they are, because they can help see if you're just doing or are you actually being productive. Projects complete, or are they just sitting there forever? All that sort of self-management sort of stuff, right? So it's pretty powerful in that. Then obviously the other tool is the calendar, which is the most used part that I have. And the calendar just really gives you that nice historic event sort of data gathering option of what did I actually do. So in my calendar view on here, I can see I've got sort of 7 or 8, my pillars all broken down, and I can see what areas in there have I done. And as I mentioned, I can then historically look at, for example, finances, all my finances, how are they tracking, going out, income, outgoings. And I can see last month, day by day transactions, the day before, the month before, historically. So that builds up a good, truthful, honest, what's been happening for the last, if you want to look at 3 months, 6 months, 3 years, which then establishes me to forecast accurately for what am I likely to do going forward. Projections are only as good as your history, because you want to base it on some truth. That's the way I look at it anyway. So then I'm able to, and I build forecasts, which I have forecasts now for the next, I do it in 3 years, give or take. I find 3 years quite a good timeline. So I'm in my second wave of this now. So I've done 6 years this August. So I've got 2 data sets of 3-year projections, and then 3-year projections. So this is the completion of my second one. And that's quite cool because I can see where I was and how I did and all that sort of stuff. And then so because it comes up in August, I've been prepping my next 3 years projections, right? So that'll take me to the 3rd lot. So I'm prepping that now based on the current 3 years that have been going on and where I'm at with those. So that's my financial graphs, and then there's the other pillars are involved in those too. So where I'm at with my relationships, where I'm at with my career aspirations, where am I at with those things within that 3-year period. Right, so they all kind of merge into one timeline. So yeah, so that's how I would generally structure my morning, which leads into the day, which will then lead into the evening. Another key piece of that is I'll be journaling parts of each of those pillars. I'm not too strict on having to do even every one, kind of depending on the flow. But I do the health and fitness, personal health, mental health and fitness every day. So I have a section and a sheet based solely on that, on health. It's kind of more of like a daily journal. I'll do that after my exercise, generally, and just see and write out how that went, what was going on. It's in my head at that time. And that's another way of fluting out, because for me, what happens when I'm working out, I kind of think a lot. Stuff comes up, it comes in my head. So if I journal it, it's another opportunity to capture some of that. And it's a good way of actually being really honest about what I did or didn't do through that session, and seeing if there's another way I can capture that information so that I can analyze it. So I've my things up to about, I date it. I date the sheet. I write it out. So a typical session will be a section, be real simple. I start from real simple. What did I actually do? How did I feel? And then what are my plans for the next time? I just sort of have that kind of real simple structure to it. And then every so often I might go off into another piece that I'll capture of what's going on at one time. I'm not forcing it. I'm not sitting here going, I have to write something down. I have to put something down. Kind of got just capture the facts. And then I'm capturing some emotional, actuals of where I think I was in that particular session. And then what comes out after that can come over the top of it, And then what I like to do is say, well, what am I going to do tomorrow? And this is my building block for what I'm going to do tomorrow. And what other things helps do is what am I going to do in part of my day? So, yeah, that's how that generally works. There's another habit I've kind of picked up in the last maybe 6 months. And this came from doing these kind of self-analysis reflections when I started using the calendar with some more specific analyzing. Actually added journaling as one of the calendar events, and then from that I type it onto there. Then I got the iPad and the pen and that, so I never used to write that much, and progressed onto that. So now I get quite a lot of value out of the toing and froing. And then being able to just read something that I've done, a month ago, triggers me into a lot of positivity. Seems to be nothing better to just sort of look back and go, well, I wrote that down. Oh yeah, no, I've been doing that. I've been consistent. Okay. You can look at it two ways. You can be positive or negative on a workout. But when it's written down consistently and you've actually, in those moments, written down what was actually going on with yourself with a little bit more detail, if you feel like it, tends to have a good progressive outcome. It's like the small steps thing, right? Kind of those small steps, which is what I'm hoping will come from this. Is that small steps lead to a lot of distance, don't they? So I quite like that. So that'll do. I'll like I said, I'll go for the walk. I'll work out with my wife. I'll go and do several task projects. My parents are back, so that's cool. So I get to talk to them a bit. They live with me downstairs. That's the relationship part. I guess I leave out a bit of that. Is that all through my day I'm able to talk to my wife, my daughter. She's here. She has a partner here. I've got my parents I get to talk to a bit. They've been away for a while, so I'm excited to see what they're up to. And then I have my other children who are kind of offshore, but I'll send them a post, an update. I communicate on them with a few channels, but mainly Facebook at this point as a point of reference. And then it's live calls or chat calls, or my daughter can come over and we'll do bits and pieces. That's kind of important for me to have that in there, which we'll get to at some point. So I'm trying not to over sell out everything that comes in, kind of just sort of doing it in bits, if you'll notice. This is more the physical part of the flowing with a bit of emotion and feelings in there. And then there's the relationships that are scattered amongst those times too. And what I've established in that gives the whole day a bit of balance. The whole day's got some balance to it. And I've had to work to get to that bit, which hopefully that'll show in this over time. Okay.